Ladies and gentlemen, dear the SEMEtt followers, it's a real pleasure for me today to speak, to deal with the achievement of SEMEtt, and especially the achievement of the Labo Styloculture Radio TV, which is a space where we are experiencing some educational cultural projects. And today it's a pleasure because I have the opportunity to speak with the diaspora, African diaspora, Pan-African diaspora, and to speak with the African who have in community the English language. It is important to say that SEMEtt has I'm speaking German. SEMEtt have four official languages. The first language is Wolof. Wolof is the lingua franca of Senegal, the most spoken language in Senegal. English, German, and French. Today is the first time I use English as communicational language to broadcast the ideas of SEMEtt and to broadcast the achievement of the Labo Styloculture. Today, I will present the movement SEMEtt. The movement SEMEtt, and I will also present the programs and projects of the Labo Styloculture and the activities of the Labo Styloculture. And first of all, I will deal with the general history of Senegal, and I will make the focus to the classification of Serer, the ethno-linguistic classification of Serer. My name is Papa Oumar Fall, called Pofriba Jawrin SEMEtt. I was born in the north of Senegal. Senegal is in West Africa. And I was born in Saint-Louis. And I grew up in Dakar. Dakar is the capital of Senegal. And I studied linguistics at University of Cheikh Anta Diop and oral literature, and I worked in IFAN, Institut Fondamental d'Afrique Noire, between 2007 and 2009. And 2009, I came in Germany as associated researcher, and I was working on African cultures, language policy. And in 2011, I was at the United States of America to present the classification of Serer at ECAL program. ECAL program is for African language in context, and I presented the topic I present today, which is the classification of Serer in question. And since 2011, I did not speak English, and this is why today it's so amazing for me to speak again English, to broadcast my ideas and to make a causerie, waxtaan to discuss with you and to give some information. As I said, the diaspora is so important to in our activities because it's the main target. I come from Africa, but now diaspora is my principal, my more important target. And this is why I choose English to decompartmentalize by activities, our activities, and not French, because what we see with the African elites, they use French. They used to French because French is they were formed in French, and in the Francophone zone, the elites, African elites, use French, and all important production are made in French, and this is why the people who don't speak French are naturally excluded. This is why I think that, as far as the linguistic policy, the language policy is concerned, we have to use African languages naturally. We could use French or English or foreign languages, but what is important is to use our language as well of SEMEtt as communicative language. And then English is to broadcast, to go far from the boundaries of Francophone zone. This is why I use English today. And it's a way to make it easy, the broadcast of our activities, and as the second language of our laboratoire sylloculture, English is also a sort of scientific languages. This is why I produce my scientific article in English. And what I noticed is that as far as my production are concerned, the Senegalese elites told me to translate it in French, and I refuse. And this is a sort of ideological option to show them that the most important information in the scientific fields are in English and not in French. And this is why SEMEtt use English as strategic languages to broadcast information and to speak with the diaspora, African diaspora, and African who are English speakers. In Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa, Kenya, those Africans speak English, and there is a sort of boundaries between Francophone zone, Francophone area and intellectual, and English-speaking intellectual. And this is why in SEMEtt we make English as official language of SEMEtt. And I will go to introduce SEMEtt. What is SEMEtt? SEMEtt movement. What is SEMEtt? SEMEtt is, I'm reading the manifesto of SEMEtt, and you could find this manifesto in our website, and the people who would like to have this manifesto could write their emails and they will become it. SEMEtt is a structure that brings together educational researchers, artists, cultural actors, filmmakers, lawyers, economists, computer scientists, teachers, journalists, and members of African civil society organizations concerned with educational issues pertaining to the future of the continent Africa, by being convinced, the people are convinced that the development of Africa will inevitably depend on the training of highly qualified human resources that have a strong self-concept. The objective of SEMEtt as I will give you those objectives. As association, SEMEtt aims to unite its members with the same ideal and to create links of solidarity among them, to contribute to social emancipation and civic education of the population, to participate in the democratization of access to culture and the protection and enhancements of African tangible and intangible cultural heritage, to participate at lower cost because Africa is a poverty is one of the criteria to define Africa, and that's why we would like to participate at lower cost in the emergence of the local and international level of young creators, because Africans are poor and the young creators have no means to work in normal conditions and to broadcast their work. This is why SEMEtt is here, and to encourage those young creators and to create the condition to permit these creators to make better their work. Aim of SEMEtt is to present different aspects of African cultures in the perspective of the integration of people, because as I tell it when I explain the use of English as official language of SEMEtt, second official language of SEMEtt, in Africa, after the colonization and during the colonization, the Africans were separated, and there is what is in French called balkanisation, and there are some boundaries and African people are separated. And the aim of SEMEtt is to make its parts, or we make our best to build another bridge of integration, and using culture, education, information, and environment as frameworks. The aim of SEMEtt is to stimulate reflection on the development, social and economic marketing of cultural industries. But we think that culture is a value in our time. How to make this culture to be as industry, how to conquest, to participate on, to help those creators to conquest the foreign marks, that's to say, to permit the creators to promote and to value their works, and to create the frameworks and to develop programs who help those people to participate to the integration of the people in Africa. One of the most important aim of SEMEtt is to build a real network, a real network of exchange and long-term partnership between the different actors of the cultural sectors. And last but not least, one of the most important aim of SEMEtt is to federate all the skills of the African continent in the field of media, culture, education, and the environment. The SEMEtt movement, which has its first headquarters in Dakar, while SEMEtt was born in Dakar. And the first section of SEMEtt was called SEMEtt Senegal. And SEMEtt Senegal had its headquarters in Dakar. And this movement intends to unite all the powers of the continent in the field, as I say, in the field of media, culture, education, and so on. All those who contribute to structure a collective imagination. This is important. How to structure a collective imagination. Because Africa, with slavery and colonization, the African people, I don't know if I could say so, have a sort of trouble, psychological trouble. And the aim of SEMEtt is to participate to structure this collective imagination, to draw together in the same direction, to boost the African union of people, as I say it. It is urgent, especially for the youth, to break away from apathy and mobilize in support of the continental destiny. SEMEtt, which is primarily a think tank, that is to say, a discussion forum for innovative ways to generate the construction of the United States of Africa, is also intended not only for the crucible of the recovery of all successful initiatives, wherever they may come from around the world, provided they are positive for the continent, but above all, as an activist organization capable to developing an advocacy. Developing an advocacy is important. Advocacy to lobby to win the support of decision makers. We must indeed learn to be together. The common desire of African communal life will not come out of nothing. The cultural unity of Africa is evident and should be used to move the continent further beyond the diversity of cultures born of local differentiation and different challenges. The foundation of a united Africa mentally, that is to say, tending towards a single purpose, does exist in continuity with the geographical blocks and in the similarities of the historical trajectories and multiforms of century-old exchange. The people who win are those who believe in themselves and believe in the priestly perspective of fulfilling their destiny. This ex nihilo belief should be discarded. It is a result of values and attitudes conveyed in the educational process at large as essential components in teaching and learning while processing directional information, and the commitment of mature cultural and artistic output. The inhibitor of fatalism and the inferiority complex of today are product of history. Extra concern must be taken toward history in order to not repeat the same mistakes that occurred in the course of history, and to learn about our past so that we can see why it is important to return to greatness and independence. And in Wolof, we could say it so, askan yi daan ñooy gëm seen bopp, gëm ni seen yokkutee ngi seen yoxo. ngëm-ngëm googu du judd ci neen, mi ngi sosoo ci ay nekkin ak ay taxawin yu jógee ci njàngale maam tas ci pàcc yu mel ni njàng muy xamal. This part is so important because we could not, this is my opinion, we could not build Africa with this strong self-concept. And this is why in SEMEtt we do our best to conceive projects which go in this direction. And in SEMEtt we would not like to work to be in all fields. SEMEtt has 4 original axes, besides education, media, culture, and information. And in 2009, the environment section was set up. Paradoxically, from 2009 to 2011, it was a driving force behind SEMEtt. And we have a program called Africa in Diaspora Education. And in this program, we shows how this is important. Not only why, but how Africa could find a solution with the work of African people. And this is why we developed this program, Africa in Diaspora Education. And I aim to develop a new section, the section of sport and wealth, because we think that we need those to have wealthy people who are wealthy and with sport and with positive activities. And I will give some other information about the fear, fear is English, is German, this differentiation between German and English. This is my problem now, because I use more German than English, and German and English are so close that when I speak English, there is this interference. Then I will explain these 4 or 5 SEMEtt section. Media. In media, what would we like to do? Media means in SEMEtt, media, online press, print media, audiovisual press, and marketing. In culture, in the cultural field, we will develop activities and workshops and formation and lectures. In visual arts, I'm artist. This is why I could show this production. We will develop workshops and where people will produce a work of art with low cost. I produce this work of art with ballpoint and this paper, and it's not expensive. Scenic arts as theater, to learn to African people, to African leaders, young leaders, how to use the body as not only this speaking language, but the body language, to broadcast their ideas and to have an interactive communication with the neighborhood. Scenic arts means theater, clowning, and so on. And in Germany, at Stuttgart, I make some formation in this direction to know how to teach those skills to the young people. And writing, workshop in writing, that's say, to teach the young people and how to write, how to express their ideology, their ideas with writing. Writing not only in these the colonized, the foreign languages as French, English, and German, or Arabic language, but using the African languages as Wolof, Serer, the native languages, the mother tongue. Mother tongue is English. Das ist nicht Deutsch. Muttersprache ist Deutsch. Yeah, the mother tongue to express themselves, because in Senegal and in Africa we notice that people are alphabétisés, je sais pas comment on dit ça, could use French to communicate, but they use their mother tongue Noor only to speak, not to write it. And in SEMEtt we develop program to teach these people to speak their language correctly and to write it. In environment section in SEMEtt, we are interested to the reforestation of Africa, because when we take the example of Senegal, we notice that Senegal is not far from Sahara Desert, and this is why reforestation, reforestation is so important. And when we consider reforestation and environment, we will not consider Africa as the heritage of colonization, but environment question is but an African section. That's say we could not develop project in this reforestation and consider Senegal, Gambia, Mali, and Guinea. This has no meaning. Senegal, Gambia, Mali, Guinea, Mauritania could be a block. This is why when I will deal with the history of Senegal, it's a nonsense for me, because Gambia or Senegal, Mali, Guinea, with the Gabu, the ancient Gabu Empire, this is relevant. But Senegal as colonial heritage, this is why the people who write this history have problem now, because Senegal as entity is nonsense. But Africa, West African history is relevant. And here I show with environment, we have this strategic geographic area, West Africa. And in this environment section in SEMEtt, we are interested with renewable energies. And we have experts, some members of SEMEtt who were students. And as students, they know this technology in SEMEtt, because we collaborated with an institute who is in the university Cheikh Anta Diop, and who developed this renewable energy. And as they set foot in Senegal, SEMEtt was one of the first partner, and the member of SEMEtt discovered all what we could do with the sun, this renewable energy. And one of the students has the first contact with the chairman specialist in SEMEtt in 2009, during the Africa and Diaspora in Question, this activity of SEMEtt. And now he's one of the expert, the specialist, who is who is concerning the German entity who came in our activities in 2009. This is the purpose of SEMEtt. And West management. When I came again in Senegal after 5 years in Germany, I was shocked because I see that's how Senegal is dirty, how Senegal was so dirty that it was shocked for me. And this is why we developed also a section in this environment with who will try to solve and to develop projects to help people to save our environment. I will develop in my future discussion this point. And what is the goal of SEMEtt in educational section? We have fear is Deutsch, for under section, support, entrepreneurship, training and literacy. And sport section and health, prevention, accompaniment, sensitization. Oh, das ist schwierig. Das ist wirklich schwierig, Englisch zu sprechen. And then the program, l'Afrique and diaspora in question. This exhibition, in 2008, we developed an exhibition, and with this exhibition, we could show all our activities. And this is a strategic program of SEMEtt. The exhibition program is above all call, reason, and an invitation to a wide audience. When we say wide audience, it was the university, the audience in the university, the students, professors, researchers, and so on. And they came in these activities. And the NGO also, who come, and we make program together. And the laboratory that links visual art works with a documentary base that presents the work of civil society actors as in NGOs. I will develop next time what we understand in this point. And now, this is the third point, history of Senegambia. Because for me, as a says, history of Senegal is nonsense. Senegal, Gambia, Mali, Guinea, for me, is more relevant. History of West Africa is more relevant for me as history of Senegal. Because how could we document it? How could we document the history of people without for example, when we say the history of Gambia and Senegal, Senegal and Gambia are two lands and one people. How could we relate the history of Casamance without linking it with Gambia? This is a problem. Gambia and Senegal, two lands, one people. Why do we take these colonial boundaries in this work? How could we solve this problem? When the Gambian people hearing what is doing in Senegal, the history of Senegal, how could they them understand what we are doing. This is nonsense. And to me, this problem of history of Senegal is only a sort of debate to the national identity of Senegal, national identity. And the crisis and this history of Senegal will show how many problems have Senegalese society. Is it the history of the land, the history of West African, or is it the history of people? I think that is only ideological view of history. This is why the family of brotherhood, of spiritual brotherhood, the family of kingdom, for me, this is not the real history. Dealing with the history of Senegal means, for me, to deal with the history of structure as kingdom, as families, but it deals with the history of people. And this is why I like to present the problem of the Serer. For example, how could we relate the history of Maba Jacoba, who was one of the high figure of Islamic system, and to relate the history of Maba without taking in account Gambia as Gambian people and Gambia's as area. It is nonsense. How could we relate the history of Maba Jacoba without taking in account the version of Serer? Because Maba fought with Serer, and the Serer versteht, das ist Deutsch, versteht Deutsch. The Serer understand what Maba did as an aggression. When we write the history of Senegal, what will we do? The version of Maba or the version of Serer? And this is one of the great problems, methodological problem I noticed. And in Africa, the language represents also an important on which people project their identity, their threatened identity. And as pointed out so well, Makhtar Diouf writes a book named Le Sénégal, les ethnies et la nation. And in this book, Makhtar Diouf shows the importance of language in this threatened identity of people. And what I noticed as I worked in 2005, 2004 on Serer field, I noticed that there is two main groups of Serer in the reality. Some of Serer who lived in Thiès area, and the other part live in the area around the ancient kingdom of Sin. And what I noticed that in the scientific field, those who live in around Fatick, these people are considered as Serer, as authentic Serer. And those who live around Thiès are considered as falsch. That is falsch Serer. That is falsch Serer, and we notice falsch Serer in the scientific field, and authentic Serer. And to me, to consider people false people, I hear falsch Serer, authentic Serer. Let's say false people and authentic original people. And I noticed that the most important production on cereal was made by Henri Granvin. Henri Granvin was a priest, and it was Léopold Sédar Senghor, the president of Senegal, was the home who asked Henri Granvin, that is my interpretation, to write it. In the preface of Civilisation Serer, Léopold Sédar Senghor write that this marginal Serer of Thiès, marginal. And Granvin, in its production, repeat this negative denomination of Serer de Thiès. And when you read Granvin production, which is as the Bible in the Serer field, we see that Granvin is not clear with this Serer problem. In the preface, we have marginal Serer of Thiès. Granvin, when we read the production of Granvin, we see authentic Serer, das heißt, das heißt ist Deutsch, it's German. That's to say, the Serer who live in Fatick are original, and the home who live in, those who live in Thiès are false. And Granvin named them, these people, false Serer and ancient population, proto-Serer, no, population of Senegal. That is, when we consider Senegal as land, the home who were the first were the Baynunk, and these people who's called Serer in Thiès. And another point is also, when we consider these two groups of Serer, there is linguistic misunderstanding. They could not communicate using Serer. Another point is, which is important, in the Constitution of Senegal, the first Constitution of Senegal, we have Serer. And my question is, what is Serer? When we have two groups who speak languages without understanding, with misunderstanding. When the Serer communities will have a meeting, they use Wolof or French to communicate. They could not use Serer. And this is why I make my research to know better these communities, so-called communities, Serer, and to show, to make a description and to show what is the reality. Because these people call themselves Serer, and the scientific communities call them non-Serer, false Serer, and so on. Tomorrow, I will develop this point and linking it with the history of Senegal. And I wrote an article, a scientific article, who is published in one of the most relevant review as a book, and I will explain this point with scientific argumentation as linguists, as ethno-linguists, and as specialists of African civilization. I stop here, and tomorrow I will give another information about this community. When you have a question, you could write it, and I will, in my communication, answer. Bye, good night, and see you tomorrow.